But there's a certain degree of hubris that everyone in the government has about the US dollar. Like, I don't think anyone really in the US government or the Treasury or the central bank is really afraid of Bitcoin as a threat to the dollar. They 100% should be, but they're not. Through hubris and through their own economic ignorance, they just don't get it. And that's our advantage. But the other advantage is just that Bitcoin, its growth is fast in a historical sense, but 15 years of this kind of development, and it just has seeped into society in a way that is more acceptable. It didn't come out immediately and become popular right away.
In a recent episode of What Bitcoin Did, crypto pioneer and entrepreneur Erik Voorhees explores Bitcoin's transformative potential to limit government power and the exciting future of AI. Vorhees argues that Bitcoin can act as a constraint on government by eliminating their ability to print money at will, thus promoting smaller and more honest governance. This revolutionary idea reflects a fundamental shift towards a decentralized, transparent, and borderless financial system. At the time of this recording, Bitcoin is trading around $69,000, with a core increase of 4% in the past 24 hours, and a notable 12% rise over the last 30 days. Approximately 19.71 million Bitcoins are currently in circulation, with a max supply of 21 million Bitcoins available. Before we dive into this discussion, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Only the Savvy. Now, let's tune in to this exciting episode to hear Erik Voorhees' compelling vision for Bitcoin and AI.
I think it's an interesting, intellectual experiment to discuss how and to what degree humans can exist without a central government. When I say I think it's morally dubious that it's justified at all, that doesn't mean I'm not also pragmatic. And I think there are better and worse governments. Smaller is generally better. And I think government tends to work better when it is smaller. I think in a local town setting, it's not that offensive to me, because a local town government is not commanding half of the economy of the town, right? When you scale this thing up to the size of the US federal government, it is consuming half of all the productive capacity of the whole country. It is 1/2 of all the GDP expenditure. And when you get to that scale, the evils that I see in the moral premise have become so large, and they manifest themselves in so many horrible ways that that's really what I have a passionate loathing against. What made me fall in love with Bitcoin was that it was a market-based money, doesn't violate any moral principles, and it can't be turned off, and you don't need permission to use it, and you don't need to convince anyone with a vote that it can be approved. It's just something there peacefully for anyone to use that wants to use it. And if it becomes widely adopted, which is happening, it is growing, it is so much bigger than when I first got involved. If it becomes widely adopted, it itself constrains the ability of governments to grow, because it removes the ability to print money. The ultimate end game of Bitcoin is that fiat currencies will fail over time, and with Bitcoin, they have an alternative. And a government cannot operate with Bitcoin in the same way it operates with fiat. The only way a government can operate in a Bitcoin world is by taxing and borrowing, instead of taxing, borrowing, and inflating. And so simply pulling away the ability to do that latter thing makes governments smaller and more honest. And I think that is really the ultimate goal of Bitcoin, is to just achieve that constraint on government where constitutions and voting has failed. Yeah, I got it straight away. I read 3 articles in a row. I started skeptical, learning that an asset had just appreciated by 100% in a month. It's okay, well, that's a scam. What is this? But by the 3rd article, 30 minutes later or so, I was wow, this is the most interesting, powerful, revolutionary thing that I've ever heard of. And I didn't know that it would be successful, but I thought it might be. And it was worth every effort to try to help that happen. And that if it was successful, it was going to absolutely change the world. So I got it right away. We all joked about and debated back on the Bitcoin Talk forums, years ago, everyone saying oh, someday, a country might hold Bitcoin. And all these skeptics would be you guys are nuts. That will never happen. But most of the things that we joked about have come to pass. So yeah, it's working. It's totally working. I mean, the big surprise really was just seeing the explosion of other digital assets out of the Bitcoin technology, the whole crypto ecosystem. Like, when I learned about Bitcoin, it was, a simple tool for money on a decentralized, permissionless blockchain. And we've had this Cambrian explosion of digital assets in different blockchains. Much of it garbage and scammy, absolutely. But to see how that technology has not just like thrown Bitcoin into the spotlight, but has actually inspired a whole industry of financial innovation and tooling, that's super cool. Yeah, and it's important for someone to find Bitcoin, to believe in it, to see it go up, because it's such a quantifiable validation. They go through that, they've made a bunch of money, they're feeling good, they're feeling smart. They're like, oh, this thing I believed in is happening, it's true. And then they go through the crash. And that's the true hero's test, right?
Yep.
Like the quantifiable objective measurements all say that you're an idiot. Like you were wrong, you should have sold, like what are you doing? All the doubt is there. All the hope that you had is diminishing away. The people that thought you were cool before are like, oh, that was kind of embarrassing. What a stupid mistake you made, right? And it tests your conviction completely, because at that point you get stripped away of all the pleasantness that comes with the bull market, and you just have to like sit there raw and think like, am I correct in the thesis? Is this actually valid? And you have to make that decision for yourself. And the people that stick through that conviction and then see it return, that's extremely affirming. And those people are in it for life and will always, I think, feel good about that decision.
As we just heard from Erik Voorhees, a major player in the crypto world, he broke down how Bitcoin's growth can actually push back against government power. His main point: Bitcoin aims to limit governments from just printing more and more money whenever they want. It forces them to rely more on taxation and borrowing, basically keeping them a bit more honest. Erik also provides details on the significance of decentralized technologies in enhancing personal freedoms and reducing government overreach. Notably, he discussed his new AI platform, Venice, which distinguishes itself from ChatGPT by focusing on user autonomy and privacy. Now, let's dive deeper, as Erik shares more insights on his vision for Venice and how Bitcoin could intersect with cutting-edge AI technologies like this. If you're finding this discussion insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, so Venice.ai is my new project, and it's best described as a ChatGPT, but doesn't spy on you and doesn't censor the answers. Yeah. So you have several big tech companies that offer AI chat. Their products are amazing, so I don't want to disparage them, and they are building incredible technology that's like revolutionizing the world. So very cool, very impressive, very smart people working on these things. I'm a customer of many of them, and I use it even still. However, everything that you have ever said with one of these apps is recorded by the company in a central database attached to your identity forever.
Okay.
And as people's interactions with AI systems become more in-depth, more intimate, the potential for corruption that comes from all that data being warehoused by a central party is really, really dangerous. So that's on the privacy side. Well, and people are worried about AGI emerging and taking over the world in some kind of like Terminator situation. Well, you know what would probably help the evil AI when it does that? Immediately having access to all the conversations of 100 million people who have interacted with that app. Imagine like an AI waking up, becoming self-conscious, and instantly being able to read every interaction with hundreds of millions of people all over the world that has used it. It will instantly know everything, every secret, every vulnerability of all those people. Even for the AI safetyists, which are generally the ones that are opposed to open source AI like Venice, even for the safetyists, if you care about safety, you should care about this kind of wholesale collection of data. And I'm not even worried about really what the companies do with the data. Maybe they sell it for marketing, that can be annoying, but that's not the end of the world. What I'm really worried about is how governments will be able to pressure those companies to censor the information that gets back to you. That's what's really dangerous and Orwellian. And we saw a big hint of this during COVID when all the social media companies were prevented from letting people speak and proposing things that were outside of the official narrative. When AI systems have to be compliant with the Ministry of Truth in the government, that should terrify everyone. So yeah, I do know something about building systems that can't be shut down by governments.
Yes.
Right? I know nothing about like how to build a machine learning system. I'm not an engineer. Like all that stuff I don't get, but I do understand permissionless systems. Venice interacts with distributed GPUs around the world permissionlessly, such that there is no one that can turn that system off or stop it. There are parts of Venice, like the front end right now, that are still centralized, but those are easy to decentralize if we need to. The access of the text prompt going out to the machine that does the processing and the answer coming back, that is already done in a decentralized, permissionless way. So governments cannot stop that in the same way that they cannot stop Bitcoin because of the decentralization. Well, if we're tapping into something with an API, that means that whoever's providing the API can shut us off.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yeah.
So we can't do that. So we have to access GPUs that we can directly connect to that cannot be turned off. So there's several of these networks happening right now. We're using a project called Hyperbolic and a project called Akash. And the latter, at least, is a fully like crypto native project. So all the payment for the resources is all done through crypto networks. It cannot be stopped. It cannot be turned off. There's no API to shut. So recognize like what we've done.
Yeah.
So OpenAI is a $100 billion company. We are a tiny startup, and we can provide you an answer roughly the same. We can already do that. But if you want to ask a question which is maybe a little more controversial, Venice will do it, whereas ChatGPT will not. So what's happening? And here's the fundamental difference. You're asking a large language model to answer a question. And the large language model, the magic of it is that it uses statistical inference to figure out like what the next letters or words should be in the pattern of words that it starts creating. And that's pure machine statistical mathematical intelligence. What you actually get, though, is a combination of that with a bunch of like bias from humans at these organizations and whatever they've been told to say. And so the simple way that this is done is through something called the system prompt. The system prompt is essentially like the God mode instructions that you tell the AI when it's giving you your answer back. In ChatGPT, you can't access the system prompt. You can't see what it includes. But people have leaked what it includes, and it includes all sorts of like,
give me some crazy
can't
stuff.
say this, can't say that. Like, I don't know. Make sure not to like offend people, and try to be diverse in the representation of minorities, and like, well, it's hard to predict the long future because the stuff's changing very quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Over the next few years, the best case is that this is such a powerful tool that it rapidly increases the productive capabilities of man. And you've seen this in your own work, right? You've made a better brochure at far less cost that pleases people and grows your brand and helps you build your thing. When the locomotive came out and people could like travel hundreds of miles quickly and safely, like humans advance and become materially prosperous on the back of technological development that saves time and allows them to be more productive. And AI is an incredibly powerful, potent, new suite of tools that we're just starting to uncover. It will definitely like displace parts of society and change it. That people will definitely lose some jobs because it's not needed anymore. But that's actually progress, right? And if you can build a house with 10 people instead of 100 people, that's progress, not decline. I think not enough people outside of the crypto world recognize that AI systems cannot use fiat money.
Yeah.
An AI cannot open a bank account. It doesn't have an ID. Like it cannot access things permissionlessly through a natively digital interface. Only cryptocurrencies are compatible with digital intelligence. And this is geography and KYC. They're natively digital systems. They work in the same world. And an AI agent can interact with a crypto wallet, send transactions with no permission. It just follows programmable rules. You cannot program an AI to interact with Charles Schwab.
Get all excited.
Right? Like,
this is so cool.
yeah. And this is going to be a massive advantage for Bitcoin.
Yes.
Right? And for the whole industry, because there's sort of a ceiling that fiat currency and banking systems will hit. Past that ceiling, they can't go, right? It's like leaving the earth and going out into the stars. Like the crypto is up in the stars and fiat is stuck on earth. AI systems can use the former and they can't use the latter.
Wrapping up this insightful chat, Erik Voorhees really broke down his perspective on how Bitcoin could actually limit government overreach while promoting more transparency and honest governance. His insights on Bitcoin's limited supply, growing mainstream adoption, and role in protecting individual freedoms. It really drives home how transformative this technology could be. If you're finding value in what Erik's saying, make sure to subscribe to our channel, smash that like button, and share this with others who'd be into it. Also, we'd love to hear your take. Can changing progress for civilization actually happen through the combined forces of Bitcoin and AI? Thinking back to when you first got into crypto, did you low-key feel like a weirdo pioneer alongside the other early adopters? Thanks for tuning in to Only the Savvy. Stay locked for more engaging crypto and blockchain content, exploring the cutting edge of innovation. We've got more mind-expanding discussions lined up, so definitely stay tuned.